First, we're going to make a very simple sentence, and then we're going to add either e adjectives or na adjectives to it and see how it behaves. Here's our sentence. I read a book. The key word here is always the verb. The verb goes at the end of the Japanese sentence. I read. And of course, it's generally not necessary to add the word I because it's understood. So we need the verb read. Yomimashita. There it is. Yomimashita. The shita indicates the past tense. And now we need to add the book. Book is hong. There we have it. And finally, we need to know what particle goes after book. If we ask the question, read what? The answer to that question is the book. Therefore, it is the object of our verb, and it must take object particle o. So there we have it, hong o yomimashita. Now we're going to add an adjective to each of those sentences. So hong o yomimashita, I read a book. We're going to add interesting, I read an interesting book. So we're just going to grab the word interesting, omoshiroi. We're going to pop it in front of the book, and it's done. Omoshiroi hon o yomimashita. No need to do anything at all with omoshiroi. On the other hand, if we look over here, we've got the same core sentence, I read a book, but we're adding a na adjective to it, the word strange or weird, which is hen. So we're going to grab hen, we're going to pop it in front of book there, but here we meet our first rule. When we put a na adjective in front of a noun, a book is a noun, we must follow the na adjective with na. Let's grab a na and pop it in, and there we have hen na hong o yomimashita. I read a weird or strange book. Now we're going to focus on a different kind of sentence, not an action verb sentence ending in something like read or read, but an A is B sentence. In this case, the book, that's the A, is interesting, that's the B. Now we've learned that A is B sentences in Japanese become A wa B des. The A is book, so there we put hong, hong wa, and the B portion is interesting. So we're going to grab an interesting, pop it in, hong wa omoshiroi des. Nothing is needed to be done to that omoshiroi, it just pops in there. On the other hand, let's have a look over here. The book is strange. Again, A wa B des, hong wa, and here we're going to pop strange. So let's just grab strange and pop it in. Now the rule, if you recall, is if your na adjective is in front of a noun, then you must add particle na. In this case, des, that's not a noun, is it? It's a kind of verb. Therefore, we don't need to add anything. Hong wa hen des. Now we're going to look what happens when our A is B sentence changes to the past tense. And we get the book was interesting. So we've got book, hong wa, and des at the end. Now we need interesting. So hong wa omoshiroi des. Now that's, of course, the book is interesting. So to change it into the past tense, we have to recall our E adjective rule, which is that the verb at the end, des, does not change. It's the adjective itself that changes. And when it does morph into something else, the first thing we do is remove that E from the end. We now have omoshiro, and then we have to add the past tense adjectival ending, which is katta. Katta. Hon wa omoshiro katta desu. The book was interesting. Let's contrast that with the na adjective sentence over here. The book was strange. Hong wa, that doesn't change. We're still talking about the book. We need the na adjective weird, which is hen. Then we need to make it into the past tense. Now, hen itself never changes. There's no taking anything off the end. There's no adding katta. We're going to simply use the past tense of des, which is deshita. Hon wa hen deshita. The book was strange. Now we're going to look at the A is B sentence in its negative form. In other words, the book is not interesting. The book stays the same. Hong wa. Let's grab interesting. Omoshiroi des. That would be the book is interesting. Now again, an E adjective. We don't change the des, do we? We have to change the adjective itself into its negative form. And to do that, we're going to get rid of this E here. That leaves us with omoshiro. And then we're going to add the negative ending, which is kunai. And we get hon wa omoshiro kunai desu. The desu stays in the positive because the negative is incorporated into the adjective itself. On the other hand, with a na adjective, hon wa, we're going to put not strange. So we need to bring strange back. And there it is. Now, strange itself cannot change. The only thing that can change is the des on the end. So we're going to use the negative form of des, which is dewa arimasen. The book is not strange. Hon wa hen dewa arimasen. Now we're going to look at that sentence in the negative past tense. The book was not interesting. We're going to need interesting. There we have it. Hon wa omoshiroi desu. The book is interesting. Now we have to change that into the negative past. Now there's a two-step process. First of all, we change it into the negative. So we get omoshiroi. We remove the i. That leaves us with omoshiro. We add the negative ending. Here it is. That's kunai. And we get omoshiro kunai. It is not interesting. Now we have to change that again into the past tense. So we need to remove the final i one more time. Now we have omoshiroku na, and we add the past tense ending katta. We now have omoshiroku na katta, was not interesting. And our des remains the same because we've got the negative and the past tense incorporated into our e adjective. And that's where e adjectives start getting a little tricky. Hon wa omoshiroku na katta desu. On the other hand, you've got your na adjective sentence. The book was not strange. Hon wa, now we need the word strange back. Hen, that never changes. So your des has got to change, hasn't it? And it becomes past negative, which is, if you recall, dewa arimasen deshita. Hon wa hen dewa arimasen deshita. Finally, I need to point out that there is an alternative to dewa arimasen deshita and dewa arimasen. You may have heard it. Let's start with dewa arimasen. Instead of that, you can simply say ja nai desu. Ja nai desu. In the same way, dewa arimasen deshita, which is quite a handful, changes to jana katta desu. And you can see that that word janai is not, it's taken on an e adjectival form. So when it becomes past tense, it has dropped its e and replaced it with katta. So you get hon wa hen jana katta desu.